Dear friends, we are about to have the time for a meditation, followed by the time for Dhamma discussion. I particularly want to acknowledge Venerable Vandana, who is here with me, and also at the Aranya Bodhi Hermitage, there are several bhikkhunis present, and also Venerable Dhamma Ruchika is present with us. As we were preparing for this Vasa time theme about practicing for peace, some time ago, the theme came up that a person would need to overcome fear in order to have a peaceful heart. So often, the angry, defensive, or even aggressive behavior that we might encounter, or that we might even do ourselves towards others, is really arising because of fear, a reaction to try to protect safety. For that reason, I thought that for this week, maybe for 2 weeks, it would be good to focus on increasing our loving kindness practice, the practice of Mettā. Mettā is said to be a powerful protection, so that dangers will not hurt us as long as the heart is fully saturated in radiating loving kindness. A group of bhikkhus had been sent to practice meditation in a certain forest, but the devas, the spirit beings that were there in that forest, did not welcome those bhikkhus, and they tried to make them go away by manifesting terrifying noises, horrible smells, and horrible visions, so that the monks were frightened. And they did this night after night. And the bhikkhus did give up that place, and they went back to where the Buddha was and told him what had happened. At that time, the Buddha told them that they had to go back to the same place, but he taught them the practice of loving kindness as a way to ward off the fear of those terrible demons. And the monks did go back, and they expressed loving kindness towards those devas or those demons, whatever beings were there in that forest. Perhaps some earthbound deities, some kind of deities or spiritual beings that were there. And when they practiced Mettā, they became so lovable that then the local deities were happy to have them and welcomed them. And then they manifested sweet and beautiful smells, sweet and beautiful sounds. And instead of being fearful and frightening, they became comforting and pleasant. just the same way, whatever circumstance there could be in our life or in the world which tends to support anxiety, if we would notice the presence of anxiety or fear, and if that would be that signal, now is the time to practice loving kindness. And practice loving kindness specifically to each person who's in front of us, to each kind of being that comes to mind, and then practice loving kindness for our own self and for others the same. So we want ourselves, we want to be happy, we want them to be happy. And then practice loving kindness, not limited by specific individuals, but in general, going in all directions, without any boundary, without any limitation. So coming to an upright and balanced posture. Keeping the spine upright and balanced. Letting the face relax. Letting the shoulders relax. Letting the arms relax. Letting the legs relax. Aware of the physical body. Aware of the weight of the body, connected to the ground or the floor, connecting to the earth element. And aware of the touching, where the hands are touching, where the seat is touching the cushion. Aware of the movement of the breath. Aware of the state of mind. If the mind is restless or settled, if the mind is bright or dull, if the mind is affected by negative thoughts or emotions, or if the mind is free from negative thoughts or emotions. Taking a few minutes just to be aware what it's like right now, sitting in meditation. And then bringing in the thought of kindness. May all beings be free from hatred, free from ill will, free from anxiety. May I be free of ill will, free of hatred, free of anxiety. For myself, as for all beings have the desire for happiness. May all beings be happy. aware of the real meaning of kindness, really wanting your own happiness, really wanting the happiness of each being, of all beings, aware of the meaning of true happiness, wishing for true happiness. Encompassing all the people in the room or the house where you are, and all the beings there. May all of them be happy. And letting that thought of kindness spread out beyond your own house, to all the beings in your city, all the beings in your country, all the beings in your world, all the beings in every world system. May all of them be free from anger, free from ill will, free from anxiety. May all of them be happy. If the mind wanders away, come back to the posture and mindfulness of the body. Make the mindfulness very clear, and then bring up the thought of kindness. If any particular being comes to mind, pervade that being with kindness. Let your own body and mind be completely pervaded and saturated and filled with kindness, so that every cell in the body is filled with kindness, radiating kindness. And letting that kindness overflow and fill the entire world without any barriers or any limits. Sambe Satta Sukhita Hontu. May all beings be happy. Avera Hontu. May they have no hatred. Ambya Pancha Hontu. May they have no ill will. Anika Hontu. May they have no anxiety. Sukhiyatanang Pariharantu. May they take care of their own happiness. So emerging from meditation, okay to stretch the body and make it comfortable again. I've invited Venerable Vandana to say a few words in English about the cultivation of loving kindness. So I'm going to turn it right over to her.
Namo Buddhaya. So this was we are practicing world peace. So this was we are practicing world peace, and this is something that everyone needs in their life. Everyone needs peace of mind. Everyone try to find the peace outside, but Buddha said the peace is within you, it's inside you, but you never try to find it. You always try to find peace in place, in people, and various things. But the reality is the peace is within us. If we have right practice, right view, then we can cultivate that peace within us, and we can see that and we can feel it. So today, Ayya Sobhana invited me to speak about Mettā, the loving kindness. So having a heart with full of loving kindness is something beautiful and something so precious that we can give someone. It's like when you give someone some present or something, one day that person will forget because there's someone else who can give them more precious gift than that. But when you give someone a loving kindness until they die, they will never forget it, because every being, every living being, they need loving kindness somewhere, somehow. But we never know how to show that loving kindness, and we never have that loving kindness toward ourselves. That's why we don't know how to have loving kindness for others also. So that's why Buddha have said there is a four kind of people in this world. A person who always do social work, but he never cares for himself. There's a second person who always take care of, who always worry of himself, but he never does a social work. There's a third person who never do social work or neither take care of himself. And there's a fourth person who's like do social work and also take care of himself. So Buddha said, be like that fourth person. So the person who know himself, who understand himself, who take care of himself, that person can take care of other. So in our lives, when we go in the flight, so before boarding they announce like there's oxygen mask. So if there's emergency landing, please help yourself first. Don't try to help others. It's like if you can't survive, then how can you help others? So this is something like when you want to practice metta, loving kindness, you have to be kind to yourself first. You have to learn how to be kind to yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself. If you are not kind enough to yourself, if you are not loving yourself, if you are not accepting yourself as you are, then you can't accept others as they are. Every human being, every person have some kind of goodness in themselves. Like no one is perfect. We have some uh, imperfections in our life. Like we have 99% something not correct, not perfect. But there's 1% something in good in us. Like 99% negativity, but 1% positivity. So it's like when you see 1% positivity in someone, so it gives you strength to be kind towards that person, to be good to yourself. But we never try to see that 1% within ourselves or not in others. We always try to blame ourselves. We always try to blame others for what happened, what they did, and what we are going through. But we never try to understand ourselves. We never try to understand others. So practicing loving kindness, it's not that hard. It's like simple as we are breathing. When we are doing something, like we are aware. So in our life we encounter so many disasters. Like we meet people we don't like, we hear the world we don't like, we see the things we don't like. It's like there's so many things that we hate. And it happens, always it happens. We feel like, oh, I don't want this, but it happens, it comes. Even if I say I don't want to see that person, so here you go, when you say you don't want to see, that person comes. It's like think of devil and devil is here. It's something like that. So when someone is saying something bad to you, just think in your mind, may you be well, may you be happy. You don't have to be angry, because it gonna change nothing, not in yourself and not in that person. But when you say something good, so it means you are doing metta towards that person. May you be well. So you are aware that that person needs kindness, that person needs some love, because maybe that person is going through something we don't know. Because not all the time people are like aggressive or angry. Oh, don't want to talk, I want to say bad words to everyone. No, people are like to be kind, want to be kind, but it's just that they don't know how. So like metta is one of factor of brahma vihara. So loving kindness you can practice every day in your life. So when you want to practice, when you want to cultivate the loving kindness, you can start with yourself. You can say, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be free from the suffering, may I live at ease. Then you can start with your neighbors whom you see daily, whom you don't like. You can say, may they be happy, may they be well, may they live at ease. Then you can start with your coworkers. You can say, oh, they will be happy, they will be at ease, something like that. And then you can start with the people you don't like, the people you hate, the people you feel, oh, I can't get along with. Be kind to them also. Think about them and say, they also be happy, they be safe, they will be live at ease, they also be free from the suffering. Then go to all the strangers, all the beings you don't never see, you never saw, you don't know. Just say, may all beings be happy, may all beings be free from the sufferings, may all beings live at ease, something like that. So it's like you don't have to see it or you have to do. You can do it when you're walking, when you're doing something, when something unpleasant happen, and you may say, oh, that person may be happy. Be free from the suffering. So that it's just a thing of mindfulness. It's like when you are being mindful, you're aware something is arising in me, something bad is arising in me. So I have to be kind enough to spread metta. This world is full of hatredness, full of negativity, but you should be strong enough to be a 1% that is ready to change this world. It's like Buddha said, don't go on the way where 1,000 people are going. Be strong enough, be faithful enough, believe in yourself that you can walk alone on right path. So this is something, it's not hard, but this is something comes from heart. If you really want to be a kind person, if you really want to spread metta, then you have to be faithful with yourself, not for others, for yourself first. Be faithful. Oh, I'm kind enough. I'm kind person. I am a good person. Don't think I am not good. I can't do. I'm trying, but not happening. Don't think that. It's negativity. You're not trying to be kind. Be kind to yourself. Oh, I'm a good person. I can do it. I know I can. But every day we give negativity to our mind, our body, our speech. So this is something that pushing us away to practice correctly. It's like every day we eat junk food and then we blame our body. Why I'm not healthy? Why this happened to me? Why I'm always sick? But you are not giving the right food to your body. That's why you're sick. So this is something happen with us, that we are not giving the correct knowledge to be mindful, to follow the path of the Dhamma. That's why we are like always negative, always depressed. Oh, I'm listening to Dhamma, but nothing is happening. I'm trying to following it, but nothing is happening. But think wisely. Am I faithful? I am really doing it? Is it I'm trying it? Or I'm giving my 100%? So when you give 100%, every day there's a 1% positivity, 1% change, 1% kindness will arise in you. You need so much patience, so much patience. It's like when we plant a seed in the ground. So you can say, oh, I plant a seed today, so tomorrow there will be a tree and I will have a delicious and sweet fruits in there. No, it will take time. You have to give water to that seed every day. Then every day you will see something is changing, something is changing. Then you will see something is coming up from the ground. Then you will see a little teeny tiny green leaf. Then you'll see, oh, it's growing every day. It's growing every day. So this is something like that when you're trying to cultivate metta. So it's not easy, when you try to cultivate metta. There's so many people like come to push you back. You're not kind. It's like they try to prove you are not kind enough. You have to try hard, try hard. So when they approach you with the bad words or bad behavior, it's up to you how you're behaving, how you're uh, responding to that behavior. So if you really want to be kind, you will not like, oh, there's something, say something. Oh, I have to respond. Not like that. You have to be mindful. Okay, that person says something to me. So is it that person is trying to have exam? Like, is trying to uh, want to know, is it I can do or not, or I'm good enough or not. So just think positively and take it as like a challenge. Oh, this is something challenging for me. It's like what I want to do is completely opposite. So if you fall for that, if that person is saying something bad and you say something bad, so you're not practicing metta. Like, you're also giving hatred to that person. But the thing is, when some person is being mean to you, when some person is giving hatred to you, you have to give love, you have to give compassion. So that means you're really trying to practice metta. So this is something you have to practice with so much patience, so much kindness, and so much mindfulness. But if you practice with your full heart, with your 100%, then one day it will be like, it will be for like you, as easy as breathing. You know, when you breathe, you never know, I'm breathing, I'm breathing in or breathing out. It just comes and goes, comes and goes. So when you see someone in suffering, it will arise in your mind, oh, may that person be free from the suffering. So you're not thinking, I have to do it. It just comes, it arises because you used to do it and you have cultivated that compassion. So whenever you see someone happy, still you feel happy for that person. You are rejoice in that their happiness, in their merit. So this is also kindness, loving kindness. When you see someone crying, you feel bad and you say, oh, please, that person should be free from the sufferings. Or you try to go to that person and try to speak with that person. So this is also compassion, loving kindness. So loving kindness, the compassion, it's not a like you have to do something big to show people, oh, you are so kind. No, like in Buddha's time, there was like uh, in Buddha, when he was reciting at Jetavana, Anatpindakasa Jetavana Rama. So there was one beggar outside of that monastery, and uh, every day he sat outside of that gate, and he saw people when they come, they are really sad, really depressed when they go inside the monastery, and when they come outside from the monastery, they are really happy. Their faces are full like happiness and like glowing. And he was like so curious, like what's happening in there. It's like, I don't know, because I'm sitting outside always, and what's going on. I also want to be happy. I'm so poor. I'm a beggar. Sometimes even I don't have a food for me. And he was so curious. And one day he saw like Buddha's going for alms around, and he was, because of his curiosity, he went to Buddha and he asked Buddha, like, I saw everyday people coming into the monastery and they're really sad and crying and they have some sufferings. But when they're coming out from the monastery, so I see they're happy, they're glowing, and it feels like they are free from the sufferings. So I want to know. I also want to be free from the suffering. I also want to be rich. I will also want to have food. So Buddha said, they give dana. That's why they're happy, because they're earning merits. That's why they're happy. They listen to Dhamma. That's why they're happy. So the beggar say, "Oh Buddha, I'm a beggar. I eat what people give me. If people don't give me the food, I don't eat anything." So Buddha said, you know, to to be kind, you don't need anything. When you try to be kind with people, it's also a good merit. So then Buddha told him that how many ways he can be kind with people and how he can earn the merits. Then Buddha explained, when you see someone crying, just try to say good word to that person. Try to suggest something to that person. Try to listen to that person. So when you try to give warmth to that person, this is also good merit. When you see someone who's hungry, that person don't have any food, just give food to that person. This is good merit. When there's someone who need help but there's no one to help, just go and help. It's like sometimes we saw someone is like old people, they try to cross the road but there's no one to help them, so just go and help them. Loving kindness. So this is, Buddha said, you don't need to like donate money or something. It should come from your heart. When you have like kindness in your heart, something will come up and you will offer something to that person. And this is something much merit. So you should try to cultivate loving kindness in yourself. So this is really important. If you don't have loving kindness for yourself, then you can't cultivate the loving kindness for others. So first try to be uh, kind and try to love yourself. Then maybe you will try to love others, and you try to kind enough to the people who are around you who's not good enough. So you will understand why the person is not good enough. I'm just saying these few words and I'm giving back the mic to the Ayya Sobhana. Thank you.
I'm going to invite now if there are any questions that or comments that anybody might have for Venerable Vandana, or for in response to the reflection that she has been sharing. Of course, there's always more to say about loving kindness, but it's very helpful to hear from others. Where are you at? What makes it easy, or what makes it difficult? What personal success story can you tell about the practice of kindness? Or what particular challenge or difficulty did you encounter in attempting to cultivate this practice of kindness, this practice of metta? Okay, I see Aranya Bodhi Hermitage.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, perhaps that will be Chintana speaking.
Just a sec. How are you? I just wanted to ask about when you had the sort of situation in your life where you can see someone doing something quite harmful to another person and you feel quite angry about that. I wonder if you have some comments about that. Thank you.
Well, yes, that is exactly what happens. The emotion of righteousness, our righteous indignation, is something that comes along very easily. Even when we've been making so much effort not to be like that, not to be harmful, and then we see somebody else behaving or speaking in a way which is harmful, and then that can stir up some reactions in us. It's completely normal. It's completely natural. And what you've got to do, though, is consider this emotion of righteous indignation that can come along when we see the cruelty and the unskillful, harmful behavior of others. It can be a type of aversion. And when I say that it's natural, I mean that this kind of aversive emotion that says, oh, that's not all right, this is part of what, like being emotionally stirred up in that way, enables a person to pull up and find the energy to do something, to stop that harmful behavior to protect the innocent victim. However, to the extent that it's actually colored by aversion, the Buddha does not recommend that kind of righteousness colored by aversion. Just the same way he doesn't recommend any kind of hatred or any kind of aversion. He doesn't recommend that righteous aversion. So it's very necessary to really, this is the hardest case. It's the hardest person, the person who's right in the act of doing something harmful, to have loving kindness for that individual, as well as for the victim, as well as for the perpetrator, as well as for the entire situation.
Yes.
And then what you do next is up to your discernment and your practical wisdom. Sometimes it's very skillful to speak up, to interrupt cruelty. Sometimes it's useful to speak very directly. Sometimes it's useful to just use a different, like even using humor or change the subject or something to distract that person from their going in the wrong direction. Sometimes sometimes there's not anything that we can do right at that moment because the situation is too hot and they won't be able to hear you. And in that case, sometimes all we can do is to be aware and attentive to the situation, knowing that the situation is painful. This is a kind of dukkha. But then it could be that on a different occasion that one would perhaps when it's not so aroused, it may be possible to speak to that person. When we live in a community of practitioners, one thing that's really valuable is that we all are under the protective umbrella of the Dhamma, because we all have this one thing in common, that we all are aspiring to behave in accord with the Dhamma. And so on those situations, it may be that it's not necessary to confront somebody with a pointed finger of blame and say, you are doing something unskillful, can't you see how much hurt and harm you're doing? That's pointing in that direction, but instead speaking in a indirect way, recalling the Dhamma, recalling what the Buddha taught is the skillful way to be about a particular situation, and then the person can maybe be able to realize that they're going in the wrong direction, and they're able to reflect about it and perhaps turn away from their bad behavior because they recollect, but they haven't been shamed and blamed by being directly confronted. And then if it's somebody who is not a Buddhist, who's not somebody who shares our values in that specific way, it could be that there's something that is in common, some value that you can find in common. Like if there were an American, you say, well, that's not a very American way to act. Don't Americans think this in such a way? Or if you're Australian, you could say, well, that's not the Aussie way of doing things. What's the Australian way of dealing with these problems, or something like that? I'm making a joke, but it may be that, like even people of different faith backgrounds, like all beings have the desire for happiness, and even just appealing to say, what is the way that really leads to happiness? Most of the religions of the world have an idea that one should do unto others what you wish to be done to yourself. And so that golden rule, like speaking about the golden rule, is something that most people can identify with. So in a way, appealing to the umbrella of the shared values is a way of pointing out something harmful in a way that's not being aggressive and not escalating a conflict or a confrontation. Definitely, one has to be able to do the inside work of making one's loving kindness truly without limits, so that one is able to have loving kindness not only for those who are lovable, but also for persons who are, unpleasant or frightening or scary. And when we have developed to that extent, that the loving kindness is really not making any kind of distinctions, and truly wishing for the welfare of everybody, including those that are perpetrators of wrongdoing, then it would be ever so much easier to intuitively be able to discover and realize what we could do or what we could say in the moment that would be beneficial to the situation. Do you have something to add? No? Okay.
Okay, thank you. May I follow up with another comment?
Yes.
So the particular situation I have in mind, of course, it's a very general sort of situation, but the particular one I have in mind is where I have to take very strong action in a situation. It's a situation where I need to take very strong action, and just to sort of have some understanding of doing that with without hatred, with compassion for the perpetrator. So, but it takes something of strong action that I need to do, and so I've been grappling with that. That the person's going to be the perpetrator will be unhappy.
Yes. There's a
They won't be
story.
able to perpetrate.
Yeah. You know the metaphor of the, I guess it's a Brahmin, and the Buddha says, well, if your child has swallowed a stone and is choking on the stone, what would you do? And he says, well, I would take him and I would put my finger in a hook and I would reach into his throat and pull the stone out, even if it hurt him and even if it caused bleeding.
Okay.
And so that's the simile that's given to understand that sometimes you wish that your speech would always be gentle and pleasant, but sometimes your speech will be not gentle. And if it has to be not gentle, at least it should be done at the right time.
Right.
And the right time could be because of urgency.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm just recalling that sutta about saying something that's welcome or unwelcome or beneficial or not beneficial, and then looking at the timing of it. Right. Yes. I remember there's a sutra about that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, it is in the sutta. And that kind of quick checklist about right speech, I think somebody who is like learning to be in a difficult public-facing job, like being a diplomat or a teacher or even a parent, it would be very good to study that teaching and to really memorize the checklist so that within just a minute or less than a minute, within 5 seconds, that you could say, you know, is what I'm going to say motivated by kindness or by hatred? Is it true or not true? Is it beneficial or not beneficial? Is it gentle or not gentle? And if it's not gentle, is it at the right time? And
Yes.
do that check, and then be able to speak directly to situations like that.
Thanks so much.
I see Adam has raised a hand.
Hi, Ayya, and thank you for the talk today. I really was taken by the discussion about uh, taking care of yourself before others, and it was making me think of a not very long time ago when I felt like I was juggling and taking care of so many people, and it just made me reflect on how it caused negative problems to surface in myself and cause me to cause more problems than I really needed to. And I've been working on Metta for several months now, and I was even just thinking too last week when my coworker was having issues, and I actually felt grounded enough to help her like get through the issue so I could like reach out and actually, help her get through her problem. But, you know, I can't say I would have been able to do that, if I hadn't been taking care of myself for a little bit. And I still have lots of work to do while taking care of myself. But, I actually feel like I'm in a better place to be able to do that right now. So I just related to that talk very well. And thank you for that.
Sometimes the people get confused about that teaching of caring for oneself in order to be able to care for another, because they might feel that it's selfish or self-centered or something like that. But truly, it is very much like this world. There's the example of the airplane crash and putting on your own oxygen mask before you attend to another. It's almost like this world is we're in an airplane and the airplane is going down, where the whole world is sort of like in a crisis. And so we really should put on our own mask so that then we'll be able to stay alive long enough to be beneficial to others. And what is putting on our own mask? But exposing ourselves to the Dhamma and practicing the Dhamma and cultivating this practice of the Dhamma and becoming somewhat like stabilized in the Dhamma, so that both some of the insights, like the insight of dukkha, anicca, anatta, seeing this is unsatisfactory, it's non-self, it's impermanent, it's non-self, and then having developed that the Brahma Viharas, so that loving kindness, and the other good responses are sort of become somewhat like automated, like that's like the natural response that we have, then we are much more capable of keeping our own psychological and spiritual safety, so that then we can be in situations that are challenging and not lose our balance. I'd like to read a comment that was given by May. She wrote, I feed the community cats. There were elderly who do not like it, and they would scold me every time they saw me. They kicked the food away and were mean in their words. One day, the female elderly felt sick and squat on the ground. I went to her, rubbed her back, and kept her warm while waiting for the ambulance. She held my hands and apologized to me, and it is nice since then. Another elderly man fell from his bicycle while riding one day, and I went to help him to get up. Things changed. These are 2 successful cases. Thank you. Yes, and so then the everyday practice of reaching out to those animals and helping those animals is something that's establishing a habit, making it very habitual. And then when the unusual circumstance comes up, it's such a blessing, such a wonderful opportunity to have a chance to be kind. And it could be that if other people didn't experience very much kindness, when they experience kindness, it can help them a lot. It can really help to soften their hearts and make them be transformed in their way of seeing. So it is something that's transforming in the world. I'd like to give another example. Part of my idea tonight is about how to, because everybody may feel kind once in a while. Just because of impermanence, you can't be unkind all the time. So every once in a while, even Hitler sometimes is kind once in a while. And so when we are able to arouse a wholesome state such as metta that did not exist before, then having aroused it, we should try to stabilize it and not allow it to disappear, but to make it grow, to develop and come to maturity, and then to develop to the perfection of maturity. So there's something about not letting the metta be something that's just once in a while, but trying to make it a very regular, continuous, and steady part of our life. There's a man I know, his name is Gregory Kramer. He's a writer and a meditator. He wrote a book a little pamphlet about the way that he taught metta to his 2 sons when they were children. Before their bedtime, he would sit with them for a few minutes every night and make them practice loving kindness, just using their own words, that they would have to say, well, may the other kids in school be happy. May my teacher be happy. May the person I saw in the grocery store be happy. May the bully be happy, something like that. And he just did this practice. It was part of the family ritual. It was every night before going to bed, he would sit with his 2 sons and have this spoken words of kindness. And then he said the reward came to him after his boys went to college. When they came back on holiday from college, they wanted to sit with Daddy before going to sleep and to give the a reflection of loving kindness. So it was so meaningful or so well established that even as college students, who naturally, in college you tend to rebel against whatever your parents taught you, but they were keeping that one practice and wanting to continue it. So you might feel that like you don't have time. There's not enough time to be kind. Like we see this, here, being a bhikkhuni and being in a temple. There's a lot of different individuals who come along, who we have a chance to see and speak to, and some of them are very lovable, are very it's very easy to teach them because you can tell that they're listening and that they're making the effort, and somehow that you feel a natural fit. And then especially people who are more reserved or more standoffish, or they're not letting on what they think, and then or for some reason some people are not like that, not that easy or natural to speak to them. But I am really aware of there's a danger of, it's the danger of apathy, the danger of feeling like I don't have enough time or energy to be kind to everyone. And I might have the danger of ignoring some people. So I make that specific effort in my mind to have the thought of kindness for each person who comes along. And, in communities where a lot of different individuals are coming through, and different volunteers are coming through, or different visitors are coming through, and there's always a tendency that people have their little dramas, and or their little differences that can happen between people. And my message for each person I meet is, I am for you. I'm on your side. I want you to succeed. It's not that I'm taking one side against another. That's my position towards everybody, that I'm for them. I want them to succeed. And I want to, find whatever it takes for them to be successful. Even if I'm it might be there's not enough time to practice metta because, I have to answer the emails and do the dishes and pick up the mail and do the sweeping. But one can do the dishes with metta. One can pick up each dish in a very nice way. And, with a feeling of a thought of kindness, wash the dish and, put the dish in the rack. Or, going to get the mail, one may feel, appreciation and kindness. All those people and companies who are sending us mail, and the delivery people who deliver the mail, and feeling that gratitude and appreciation and kindness, and sweeping the floor, sweep the floor with kindness. Think thoughts of kindness together with whatever else is happening, so that even though I know everybody's very busy, I know each of you is really busy, you have a busy life, but even though you're very busy, you're never too busy to add kindness to the activities of your day. Richard?
Thank you. There are suttas where metta is coupled with ceto vimukti. So it's metta ceto vimukti. So it's a type of liberation of mind. It's not the complete liberation of mind, before Panavimukti, but Buddha considers that, and the other three Brahma Viharas, they're also coupled like that with Chaita Vimukti. So, you know, there's some suttas where a person comes to a monk or something, a bhikkhu, and says, "Oh, you know, I perfected this metta, but I still get angry." And the bhikkhu says, "Don't say that. Don't say that. The Blessed One has told us that if you perfected metta, you know, there's no room for ill will in your mind, so it's not possible to get angry anymore." So, in other words, if you've attained that metta ceto vimukti, right, that actual liberation, level of liberation of mind. There's also another sutta in the tens in the Anguttara Nikaya, I think it's 44, where a person is thinking to admonish another, and so they're told, you know, they're given five. The Buddha gives 5 things. He says, first, you know, is your bodily action all perfect? You know, first check yourself, right? And then he says, you know, is your speech all perfect, right? And then the third one is, you know, have you attained perfection of metta? You know, so that'll correspond to the mind. You know, is your mind in a perfectly loving, you know, condition? And there's 2 additional ones. One is, do you have a really thorough understanding of Dhamma, of the teaching? And the next one is, do you have you really understood the Patimokkha and the reason and for all the rules and everything like that, the actual reasons for them and things like that. So those are the 5 things that, you know, it doesn't start out as a bhikshu. It just talks about admonishing someone, but then later on, bhikkhu is added, you know, in the sutta. So the idea is that, you know, like, you know, be sure before you admonish another, you know what I mean, that you yourself are kind of like perfect in these ways. Now, that doesn't mean if you see some horrible, violent thing or something going on, you shouldn't step in or call for help to step in or something like that. That's a kind of an extreme case, a different case. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting that the mental aspect was associated with the perfection of metta in that way. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for listening.
I'd like to say a little bit more about this Mettā ceto vimukti, the liberation of the heart by through metta. Part of the idea of metta is that it's a protection. And one important way that metta is a protection is it protects your own mind from the hindrance of aversion or ill will. And it can be, perhaps it can be protective in a much wider kind of a way. If a person who doesn't have jhana is practicing to obtain jhana, or if a person who does have jhana and they want to practice jhana or concentrated meditation, they have to abandon the 5 hindrances in order to enter jhana. So a very skillful, natural, and normal way to abandon the 5 hindrances is arising from this practice of metta. So if the theme of loving kindness is the theme of meditation, one can at least get to the first jhana by way of the practice of metta, because the feeling associated with metta tends to be pleasant or at least neutral, but typically the thought of loving kindness is not usually associated with painful feeling. But it is possible sometimes that the thought of metta can be a trigger for painful feelings. This happened to me. This happened to me personally, so I know it's true that it. At one time, when I was in a state of pretty severe grief because of the death of a loved one, I had gone on a long meditation retreat, and the teacher had, or those who were guiding the retreat, suggested that I should practice metta. And every time I practiced metta, I would fall into tears and be weeping, and I'd be sad and falling into grief. It was almost like this opening up or letting down my defenses because of kindness, or the thought of kindness to myself, because there was something that I was holding in at that time that was very sorrowful. Then, when I tried to practice metta, I felt very sad. At the time, subsequently, I read in a book that this is something that can happen in the practice of metta, and I had the desire to sue the meditation center for malpractice because they told me to practice metta, but they didn't say that it could bring out feelings of sorrow. But later on, I did learn the skillful way of dealing with that, of acknowledging and, in that case, actually learning how to help myself. Like, you have to help yourself first. I really had a big learning curve to learn how to help myself in that particular circumstance that I was. And the practice of metta is what gives like the determination and the confidence and the sort of guidance that says, yes, you can get out of this, you can come through this, it's possible, you're not going to be forever in this pit of despair, you're going to come out of it. Don't torture yourself, don't give yourself poison, instead give yourself medicine. So when metta is pleasant, it makes it, in those cases, it's easy to practice metta. It might be easier than some other forms of meditation, like the Mahasi style of meditation of noting. Could be like kind of like very cool and very strenuous and very sort of like challenging and not that much fun, not that enjoyable to do. So it takes like a lot of willpower to keep going and continue practicing that kind of meditation. But then if the practice is metta, you don't really need so much willpower because it's so pleasant that then you just will like to practice metta, and you would be able to sit and have extended meditation with metta. And it does have this protective way of diverting the mind away from the hindrances, so that then one can experience the seclusion from unwholesome states of mind through the practice of metta. And then with that seclusion, one can gain very good samadhi, and one can have the potential for this metta ceto vimutti, which is a deep transformation of psychology, which is extremely beneficial and very close to making the mind so bright and pliable and open, so that the liberating insight leading to awakening is possible in that environment. So in that way, the practice of metta is definitely a really great medicine if you want to wake up. This is a very good vitamin to take every day. So it not only helps to have good relationships among people and to have a happy life, but it also is a specific meditation practice that can lead to the liberation, this particular liberation of the heart, which is a deep meditative state or deep psychological state, which then can, it's really the mark of somebody who's on the path, who's perhaps got some attainments. They say that one who has a stream entry, that they're that when they become a once returner, their potential for getting angry would be vastly diminished, like maybe 1% of what it was before. They could still experience aversion, but it's very much reduced. And then for one who's a non-returner, the capacity for aversion or losing your temper like that is completely cut off. So that then, what a freedom that would be. What a relief it would be. Not to have to constantly keep one mind under control, to be always to be mindful, to be careful, not to get angry, to be mindful and to watch out, and to see the danger, any kind of situation that's dislikable, or any kind of evil situation that could arouse that righteousness. And then there's a danger that like aversion could arise, or arrogance could arise, or indignation could arise, or a grudge could arise. And then you have to be like constantly working and protecting and trying to, it's like a cure and care for those moments of ill will as they come along. Each one that comes along, you've got to take care of it. You've got to use the method to dissolve those impurities that come along. But if we keep going, the day may come when you will be really free, and you won't need to do that extra work anymore, because the things that used to trigger you will not trigger you anymore. And you won't have that particular struggle anymore. These are some of the good results from the practice of loving kindness. And now I would like to invite everybody to join in giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Subhatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami.
Thank you, Ayya. We bow to our teacher.
May you have every good blessing. May the Devas protect you by the power of the Triple Gem. May you ever be well.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.